Obviously, this conversation is going to be on profit sharing. We are a profit sharing company. You guys know that, right? Some of you have been here for years and years and years. Barb, our Zoom, Matt, Tony, and we have the pleasure to have Gary Segal here. And Gary's got a little bit of story to tell about profit share, about Keller Williams, about team growth, building, expansion, opportunity. So I love when Gary's here because not only is he faceted and really well versed in the agent role, he built a team. He also has operating principal now and has ownership interests in other market centers, as well as building a substantial downline. So as far as credibility is concerned, the man has it, right? So we're going to have like a Q&A type of session. It's going to be kind of very informal because I believe Gary's kind of a low C, probably low S, maybe higher D, high I, yeah. So we're going to have a little bit more informal. But before we go, let's welcome Gary to the Market Center.
Thanks.
So, Gary, I'd like to ask you just maybe take a few minutes and tell them who you are and what you're about and where you came from, that kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. My name's Gary Segal. I spent most of my career in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. I don't know if anybody knows that, just northwest of Philadelphia. Got into real estate. My wife got into real estate first, and we wanted to get into investment. I'm sorry I missed the thing this morning. I'm not sure how we thought we were going to do that because we'll roll back to 1986 when she got into real estate. I don't think we had $1,000. So I'm not sure how I was going to be an investor. But she got into real estate and she was doing pretty well and having fun, which got me to join her in 1988. We were at RE/MAX. She went to RE/MAX on the person who was her mentor at Merrill Lynch Real Estate, which was the precursor to Prudential. That person got recruited to RE/MAX and she went with her. I went with her on that interview to protect her. I knew nothing about real estate culture, but when they explained the RE/MAX thing and said, well, you pay a fixed amount and then you get to keep your commissions, I go, that sounds like a better idea to me than the way it worked at Prudential. But so we started out at RE/MAX, and in 2001, there were 5 of us at RE/MAX that were building teams. And the team structure didn't seem to really work that well with the RE/MAX structure. And back then, you couldn't go to RE/MAX and get a split. It was like pretty much you pay $2,000 a month, you get to keep your commissions. So Keller Williams started. The only Keller Williams, I don't think there was a Keller Williams in South Jersey then. There were 2 in Pennsylvania, one in Newtown and one in Doylestown. Now, talk about coming full circle. In October, my partner and I were able to purchase the Doylestown Market Center. But it was up and running and pretty successful. It was like the #4 market center in the region. But right at the beginning, I was one of the odd people who joined Keller Williams because of market share. And I'm just curious, how long have you been at Keller Williams?
About 10, 11 years.
Okay, what made you join?
At first it was the culture, and I actually came from RE/MAX too. And it was financially worked out in the team structure of my dad, and financially we did the numbers too, and it made more sense to be Keller Williams than RE/MAX.
Right, kind of interesting. And where was the RE/MAX? Around here?
Around here, yeah, Segal.
Okay, I'm just curious. And what's your name?
Matt.
Matt.
Hi,
What's your name?
Sharon.
Sharon.
How long have I been here?
Oh, no, I was curious. What made you come to Keller Williams?
I was with Wyford,
Okay,
and the office closed.
okay.
And,
Time to find another office.
yeah, so I started searching around, and I didn't do a lot of searching. I think somebody just told me about this, and I came over, and Debbie interviewed me, and I liked it, and I stayed.
And
Because I knew Dan was coming too, so I wanted to be.
how long ago was that?
About maybe 8 or 9 years.
Okay, well,
I'm here because of Dan. I've
I'm here
never,
because of Dan too.
I'm only in real estate for 3 years, and when I got out of school, I was researching where I wanted to be. And yes, it was the culture and most definitely the split. But sitting down with Dan, at first when we were talking about profit sharing, the passive income, I kind of backed up a little thinking, that sounds like a pyramid. I'm taking money from people I'm bringing in. And when I realized I wasn't, that the money was coming from the company, it was so profound to me because I'd never heard, I was in the financial industry for years, I never heard of something working that way. So, yes, it was all three. It was the culture, the money, and the passive income is tremendous. And Dan was, very thorough in explaining it to me. And I have a sister in real estate for 21 years, and when I ran it by her, she kind of had never heard of anything like that. Maybe Remax was close, but no.
And where is she?
My sister's in a Century 21. Dan and I are still.
And where?
She's in Long Beach, in the 5 towns, Long Beach,
Oh,
Needle
okay,
Beach,
sure.
in New York. Yeah, we're still working on her.
Okay, interesting.
I'm new to it. Not in real estate, 30 years as an investor, about 12 years as a broker. So I'm meeting with Dan today.
Okay, so you're not in Keller Williams yet. Okay, interesting. And what's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew.
I've been in real estate in this area for a very long time, since '78. Did well with the other agencies I was with, and I was happy. Came to Keller about 11, 12 years ago, based on the fact that I sat down and calculated how much my broker got as opposed to how much I would pay at Keller, and it was a no-brainer. I said, what am I even thinking of that? And I loved the office I was with, I did well, but it was a no-brainer. So
It is really funny though, a lot of times people will make that calculation, but that still doesn't seem to be the thing that 100% gets them to move.
Well, that plus I knew a lot of the people that came here, and I loved them all, so that.
Okay, well
had a
that
lot to do with
would
it.
make a difference.
And it was new, nobody knew Keller who, it was brand new here.
Right. We were really, Keller who. It's funny now, when I joined Keller Williams, there were 8,200 agents in the country,
Wow.
and now there's more than 8,000 in the region. Keller Williams profit shared $4 million, 4.2 million in 2001, and I think the region profit shared
Wow.
8 million last year. So the region is now bigger than Keller Williams was when we joined. Though a lot of people would think I had an advantage in profit share because it was 2001, and that's actually not true, but I'll show you that. How about, what's your name?
Me? Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
We're going around the room. You're
We're gonna
next.
make it personal.
Okay.
And if there's 50 people, you can't do that, but I figured we might as well.
I've only been here like 2 weeks.
How long have you been in real estate?
The whole 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
It's good to learn this stuff
Yeah,
early.
she's my grandmother, so,
Oh, wow, I love that.
Yeah.
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 And you're a teen?
Yes, and her sister's coming in two more
Wow,
weeks.
well, I love that.
My
And my
older
daughter's
sister.
here with me, she's my admin, and
Great.
her father's also licensed.
Sounds like a family business.
It is,
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
okay.
So got a lot to learn.
Okay. Well, you're in the right place for that.
Yeah, I can see that, I can already tell.
Okay, good.
So my name's Kate. I'm not officially on board yet, just passed my real estate test. I have all my paperwork, but I plan on, coming on board here, and learning from Dan, he kind of got me into this, so.
How did you get connected with
So I actually worked in, a bank right down the road here, a few buildings down, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and that's when I actually met a lot of agents here over at the bank.
Hey, they
so
keep
kept in
depositing checks, I
contact.
gotta check that out.
Yeah, so I kept in contact, and one thing led to another. I was obtaining my real estate license, got a call from Dan, and I've met with him a few times, so I'm interested in learning more, especially about this profit sharing.
Okay.
I'm Ari Zoom, I've been in real estate 16 years. Most of us are here like 10 years now, I'm working on 10 and a half with Keller. At the time, I don't know, real estate was shifting, and real estate was changing, and we kept hearing more about Keller Williams, and it was just definitely something different. For me, I needed more, and I wasn't getting more, so it was a big deal for me when I came over. I did a lot of research, it wasn't a one-day sign-on.
Right.
It took me a little while, and I even stalked them in the potential parking lot where they were gonna be moving to. I really just did a lot of thinking. I was even getting, information from other people about the broker that was gonna be in charge. I just wanted a lot of information.
Who is the broker?
At that time, it was different,
Rosalie Adulias is our broker now.
Okay.
but at that time, it was different. But it was definitely, it was a really big deal for me. It was a life changer for me.
Okay, me too.
No matter what I do in my life, no matter where I go, I will be with Keller Williams. Whether it's
Okay.
this one or any other one, if I relocate, I will always be devoted to Keller Williams.
That feeling is really,
I can't explain it,
right, oh, no, but being able to communicate that
yes.
is really, that is the secret to profit share. This is kind of the opposite of sales, where I believe that somebody can come in and not know anybody and drop that person who learns how to, we call it prospect, lead generate. You could go do that anywhere. And I think that profit share is a little different. It is really the relationship part of the business. You know, so it's crucial. I'm sorry, and what's your name?
Dennis Gager.
Dennis.
Yes,
You're an agent here?
yes,
Okay, how long have you been at Keller Williams?
I would say 5 months,
Okay, and how about before, how long have you been in real estate?
about 6 months.
Okay, so you went someplace else first?
No, I went right from training, and Kathy recruited me, and then I met the gentleman sitting immediately to your right, and he discussed with me my future, and from there we go.
Now, it's funny, people talk, what I'd love to do first is lose the word recruiting.
Yes.
Because as agents, nobody,
Wait,
I don't think
I'm
anybody
sorry,
wants
before
to-
you start, the cameraman.
oh, I'm sorry.
Let's tell
Oh, yeah.
camera.
Tony Leone, been in real estate probably about 15 years, with Keller Williams, this office about 5 years. My primary reason to come with the Keller Williams, besides being pushed into it, I like it because it's a lot of training, a lot of friendship. And I just think there's success written on every page you turn with Keller Williams philosophy.
Were you guys excited that we got to announce, like, a very short time ago, that we were the #1 company?
Yes?
We knew it was gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, no, and I feel like I've known that for a long
I
time.
didn't get excited,
but
but I just kind of knew it.
When I got into real estate, RE/MAX was sort of coming up, and that time in the 90s when RE/MAX was growing like a hockey stick was pretty exciting. And I thought RE/MAX was a great company. I still think it's a great company. It's kind of interesting. I believe that they were the ones who just sort of stopped at a certain point in their development and allowed somebody like Gary Keller to come in. Now, back in those days, had heard about Keller Williams from sort of two sources. One was RE/MAX, the guy who was the regional director, would have been for this, oh no, I guess it would have been Pennsylvania, it wasn't New Jersey. Mike Stefanik was the guy who started RE/MAX in southeast Pennsylvania. Had gone to something called the Gathering of Eagles that Steve Murray from Real Trends runs, and the heads of most of the major companies come together once a year and talk about the industry. And Dave Liniger was pretty radical in those days. There was that 100% commission thing. And he was like changing the industry by saying, okay, I'm going to make the agents my customer. So I'm going to attract people that way with this 100% concept, which RE/MAX did not develop, but sort of the one who proliferated. And then Gary Keller got up and said, well, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to make the agents my partner. And everybody was like, ooh, you can't do that. But he had an idea, and the other comment came from one of my partners is a guy who came from the Prudential world. And if you guys know that Prudential, Fox and Roach,
Yeah,
then became, okay, so he was the #2 guy at Prudential when they merged with Fox and Roach. And that merger could have gone either way, meaning either of these two principals could have bought each other. They actually made the deal by bumping into each other in the Denver airport. But, so Prudential and Fox and Roach merged, and because it was the Fox and Roach who bought them, he wasn't a perfect fit for that culture, and after a short time he was out, and I was on a listing, and somebody said, we know somebody in common. And I said, who? And they said, Michael Beer. And I said, oh, what's Michael doing? They go, well, he's actually looking for something. He's actually about to buy a pretty big inspection company. And I called him up, and we had lunch, and decided at that lunch that we could be in business together, and I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. Now, as a result of that, and that was pretty early on in Keller Williams, there are now, I'd say 1,100 people in my downline as a result of asking that guy to lunch.
Wow.
So part of it is you never know what's going to happen. Now I could we could be sarcastic and go, okay, you guys they talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, I don't know if you ever heard that outside Keller Williams. So I brought this, if somebody gets a pitcher of water, we're gonna mix it up and we can all be rich. But it is, when they talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, it is because it's about the culture. And what I was attracted to at Keller Williams were how open everybody was about sharing ideas. I think at Prudential, there was kind of a closed culture where people kind of hid their sources of business. And once we were accused of, they said, well, Keller Williams, they just use agents for training. We have professional trainers. And I kind of learned everything I learned about selling real estate from somebody who sold real estate.
Right.
That was the amazing thing. I used to listen to, anybody hear of Howard Britton? He used to be a great trainer. He had a thing called Howard Britton Superstars, and every month he'd interview a successful realtor. Didn't matter what company. Housewife from Oklahoma, sold 160 houses. I can learn something from her. And I would listen to the cassette tapes in my car. And so the way I learned about real estate was from other people who were successful at real estate. And what Keller Williams did to me was it sort of put that together. And the people that I was growing up with in real estate, who all have successful teams now, it was funny because we all just kind of learned from each other. So, but when I heard about Keller Williams, they talked about this profit share thing. And I, before I was in real estate, was in a multi-level marketing company. This one was Shackley, I guess more people had heard of Amway. And it was that thing, do you want to come to a meeting? Now, when I did that, I guess the economy was pretty bad, and as the economy got better, people were interested in opportunities. As the economy got better, people seemed to be less interested in pursuing that as an opportunity. But I feel like all the things that I learned doing that were applicable to Keller Williams, and when I first sat down with the guy who was the regional director, Mike McCarthy's father, he started drawing circles on a piece of paper like they do at Amway, and I thought I understood it, and actually I did not. And I passed on, I became a partner at the RE/MAX office I was in, because the owner was, one of the partners was a regional director, and everybody thought it was a conflict for him to own an office also. I mean, actually, I don't believe that's the case. But he had to sell, and he had to figure out, he says, well, should I sell 1% to 50 agents? That would have been a nightmare. So he was just fascinated enough by my wife and I that we had the opportunity to buy into that office. When I heard about Keller Williams, I loved the idea as an agent, but I thought, oh, I don't think I want to be the owner, because I own a RE/MAX office and we don't really make any money from the ownership part. And I passed on the opportunity. Well, let's see, last year that office made $900,000, so that wasn't the best choice I ever made. But I was interested in the profit share part, and I started pursuing that.
So Gary, let me stop you real quick.
Okay, that's the whole story.
So explain the obvious, the audience, what is profit share?
So has anybody here received any profit share? Okay, so what happens at Keller Williams, Gary Keller decided to take the company and take essentially just under half of the profit and put it into a pool to share with the agents who helped the company grow. Like I said, the first year that was $4.2 million. Last year that was, I think, $180 million. So, pretty serious piece of change. And I decided that I wanted to work on that. And after I was at Keller Williams about 9 months, I hadn't received any profit share. And I was starting to get a little frustrated, and then I got somebody to join, and the company started to make money. So two things have to happen in order for profit share to be created. One of them is, the company's got to make a profit, or there's nothing to share. And you have to have influenced somebody to come to the office to participate in that. So when somebody that you influence to the office settles a deal where they pay the company, that's where profit share is. As soon as they pass that point and they cap out, I think everybody knows what that is, right? That you get to share in the profit. You know what, if I could get a glass, if there's Diet Coke over there, that would be
You want
wonderful.
water? We have bottles of water.
Or a bottle of water, that'd be great.
You want me to get it? It's on there.
So, after being at Keller Williams for about 9 months, my wife and I received, I think, $13.72 in profit share. So, pretty exciting.
My first one was
Now,
$2.
I want to say that we just passed a milestone, and I was going to say, last June, I passed the $1 million mark, that I had received $1 million in profit share.
Congratulations.
I think I was the number 50, I was the 58th agent in Keller Williams to do that. The really exciting part is, as of January 31st, my wife received $1 million in profit share.
Okay, wait, time out.
Wow.
This is over, so 16 years.
So,
But still.
the Segal family has taken in over $2 million just in profit share from Keller Williams.
Correct. Now, I was a hard-working agent. I didn't really have this burning desire, like Dan, maybe, to be number one. I was happy to be number two for 20 years. I go, I want to get to a high level and be consistent and keep producing. And that's exactly what happened. We built a team. That team probably averaged between $35 and $40 million for a pretty good amount of time. What happened is at RE/MAX, we got to the point where we were at about the top 100, but this is, 1999, and there weren't agents doing what they did today. When we joined Keller Williams, at one point, the first time we did $1 million in GCI, so about $40 million, was number 22 in the company. I just looked up where your position is if you have a team doing $1 million today. You're about number 675. So people are doing things beyond what I could have ever imagined. The most unbelievable salespeople. But at Keller Williams, those people still share. So that profit share started going up and up and up over the years. And one of my fears when I talk about it is that people will so not be able to relate to it that they won't do anything. And this is the best business I've ever seen. I've got a business that I would say is equal to what somebody would net in the Keller Williams model. If you did $1 million, how much, according to the model, would you net out of your business? Does anybody know that? About 40%?
44%.
Yeah, okay, so you do $40 million, that's about $1 million in commission. You'd make $400,000. What's exciting to me is now, my wife and I last year made $419,000 in profit share. And what's the rent on that business?
How much does profit share cost?
Nothing.
Nothing. There's no
It costs
overhead.
nothing
You
to
don't
get
have-
into the business. The rent is zero.
Your
The
overhead.
employees are zero. The insurance is zero. The marketing is zero. So with all of that, that is, to me, I can't imagine a business that would be better. So I spent a lot of time thinking about and trying to pursue profit share. And there are people that do that in different ways. Aaron Kaufman, who's amazing at teaching profit share, he actually went out and found a guy to do what he does. So he went out and found a guy in Austin, Texas, where Keller Williams is the most saturated, and that guy consistently, I think he's brought in over 200 people. So he found somebody who brought him 200 second-level people, and he makes a lot of money. Mine's kind of the opposite. I have about 21 people on the first level, but in my profit share tree on the 7 levels, and if I'm getting ahead of anybody, let me know, that there are probably, 1,800 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Now, there are another 900 people below those 7 levels that have joined, and if somebody drops out and they haven't invested, those people roll up. But it's turned into a pretty big company, almost 3,000 people.
so you have a company within your organization. Explain what first level means.
First level means that I directly influence somebody to join Keller Williams, like you got somebody to join Keller Williams. So now you profit share on what he does up to a cap.
So let me ask you, so you're saying that if we were to bring someone in, they have to cap first?
No. What they have to do is, you get paid on every deal that they do until they cap. Once they cap and they keep 100%, you don't profit share on it. So you only profit share on the portion.
Or what they, okay.
The 22K that we have here.
Now, one of the interesting
That's what I
things,
thought it was before, but I was misunderstanding.
one of the interesting things in Keller Williams is that a $3 million agent and a $30 million agent are worth the same to you when you bring them in. It's also a great leveler in the office because it sort of makes everybody equal. Meaning that you know, there are less prima donnas at Keller Williams than there are at other companies. If you're at a Berkshire Hathaway company and you're the top producer, you're kind of a queen bee or king bee. And at Keller Williams, everybody's kind of equal. So I thought that was interesting in how that affected the culture, because the culture is the key to profit share.
So let's talk about that, Gary, real quick. So the culture, right? So anyone and all of my agents know this. Culture is number one to me. I seek agents that are culture first upon whether I'm going to talk to them or not.
Correct.
Because we know that culture and good people beget more culture and good people.
Thank you, sir.
How does profit share affect culture, and how does culture affect profit share? What's the relationship there?
Well, I believe that culture is the reason that agents stay at Keller Williams. I like the culture. I mean, the culture at RE/MAX I thought was pretty good. It was about making money, but there was Gary Keller had the most brilliant idea, but I think the thing that solidified it for me was actually when I saw Mo Anderson. Does everybody know who Mo Anderson is?
Absolutely.
When I saw Mo Anderson speak, all of a sudden I believed I was at the right company. I go, yes, she really wouldn't compromise her values to make a deal.
She's like the heart for the company.
Correct.
She's like our heartbeat, I like to say.
Right, she is the reason that I believe Keller Williams, she was the first person to come to Keller Williams outside the state of Texas, and she is probably the reason that the company grew to what it did, and she to this day has maintained that she would never compromise her values for a deal. So those things became meaningful, even though that seems a little, I don't know if we want to call it rah-rah but that was really meaningful to me, that the company was actually, had those values. Now, I just gave you a card that is actually not my business card anymore, but on the back there's a sentence, and what I'd like everybody to do is to just read that sentence and count the how many letter F's are in that sentence. This is a really simple exercise, but it proves an important point.
I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've seen it before, how many people got one? So one F. How about two? Three? There are F's in the sentence.
I got 4.
There's more than that.
Okay, how many people got 4? 5? 6? Okay, there are 6. The point of this is,
6.
there are 6. There's 3 ofs in that sentence. And what happens is, when you say of, it's a V, and your mind cannot have 2 conflicting thoughts at the same time.
This has to do with the left and right brain. I just got tested on this
Right,
yesterday.
that
I
is
still got
exactly
it.
what it has to do with. And the point of this is that everybody here knows there's profit share, right?
Oh, the bottom of, I missed.
But people do not, they think they understand it, and I believe that they do not. So this is, to me, the most important thing in Keller Williams, and how valuable and how leveraged this can be is, now, when I say that we are blessed, I mean, it's like, this, for what my wife and I get, this is better than winning the Publishers Clearinghouse that's going to give you $375,000 for the rest of your life. And that's a 1 in, I don't know, $175 million chance. So, do you think I had an advantage in getting into profit share in 2001 instead of now? And I don't believe that that is actually the case. As sure as we're sitting here, this company is going to double in size. We've got a track record, and it is happening. And actually, because there's 160,000 people out there telling the story instead of 8,000, it's going to happen quicker. So you could almost picture it this way. Anybody know how many agents there are in the country?
In Keller Williams?
No, in the people selling real estate.
I have no idea.
About 1.2 million. The market's about 1 million. When the market is good, there's more than 1 million. When the market's horrible, there's less than 1 million, because they can't make a living. But it's 1 million people. And I don't believe that any concept is good for everybody. There is no one right way to do it. But I believe that Keller Williams could easily be good for 1/3 of them, which is 300,000, and we've only got 160,000. So the company could easily double. So I believe the person who's gonna make the most amount of money in profit share hasn't joined the company yet. And people are figuring out better and quicker ways to do it. So it's almost as if, here's us in the center, 160,000, and there's the million realtors, and another 150,000 are gonna join. But there's only one way in. How do you get into Keller Williams?
Have a sponsor.
Somebody's gotta sponsor you. Only way in. So they're there, and we're in the middle, and they're coming at us, and all we gotta do is figure out how to get in the way of a couple of them, and you could win. I mean, an agent in a successful office could be worth about, you sponsoring an agent, could be worth about $3,000. So if you get 5 of them, it's $15,000 a year in passive income.
Per year.
Per year. How much money do you need to make $15,000?
In real estate?
No, how much money do you need to put, I mean, there's a couple ways to make passive income. Money, having money would be one of them. Got $1 million, how much money can you make?
What percent?
What percent? Now, you're right, you could invest it in something that pays 8%, but if you wanted to be relatively secure, I mean, 5% would be good, right?
5% about right.
So to make 5%, if you have $1 million, you make $50,000. If you had 5 agents and you were making 15,000, you know, so you need so much money. I could never have, no matter what I did, like you guys, for 30 years, I sold real estate. How hard is it to save $1 million?
Hard.
Hard.
You gotta make a living, you gotta sell houses, you gotta deal with all those problems, then you gotta take it and pay, you get to reduce it by your expenses, and then you gotta pay taxes. Then you gotta live on it and have enough money to save $1 million. So if you could save $10,000 a year, that would take you,
That's good.
you know, too long, could never work. So what I figured out is, how can you live like a millionaire, but not have $1 million? And profit share was the only way I could figure that one out. So what I started doing was to help the people that I had brought into Keller Williams to grow their profit share tree. There was an agent I met, somebody called up, and I can still remember this, they called up on a listing I had, and this person grew up in a Century 21 office. A family had a Century 21 business. So she had been in real estate, she was making $25,000 a year, I'm gonna guess. We just connected, and I got her to come to RE/MAX, and this person was a natural agent, and she started doing pretty well. And right at the time that we were going to Keller Williams, she had gotten divorced and met a guy and was moving to North Jersey. Didn't really like the RE/MAX up there. So she joined a company called Bergdorf, which I think was an ERA company. Didn't really like that either. So she got people that she worked with to open a Keller Williams office so she'd have a place to work. Her name is Sue Adler. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of her. Now, she's a brilliant agent. So she would say that I was there to help her through 3 important things in her life. One was to leave Century 21 and come to RE/MAX to become a good agent. The second was to come to Keller Williams. And the third was, when I was with my partner at an OP mastermind back in like 2004, and they made an announcement saying, Gary Keller is looking for agents who actually made money on this internet thing. This was a new idea. You know, when I got into real estate, we had MLS books. Anybody remember MLS books? You know, 9 houses on a newsprint page, you know, you could find it. So she ended up getting invited to Austin because Gary Keller got like 12 people who were using the internet, and he interviewed them because he needed to find out what this was all about. So that got her hooked up with Gary Keller. Today she is one of the top agents in Keller Williams, but I would say that in that, they call it New York Tri-State, that region that's North Jersey, it's not Manhattan, but it's Long Island and a couple of the other boroughs, that 19% of